What's up, guys? It is the FM Guru, the Farmers Market Guru. I'm back at you guys with another video today. And obviously, if you guys have any farmers market needs, I'm the only one on YouTube talking about farmers markets, how to get started at farmers markets, how to grow your farmers market business, and how to shift eventually online if that's what you want to do. I'm the only expert on YouTube. I've been doing it for 5 years now. Boom, right? If you guys have any questions, hit the comment section. If you guys want to DM me one-on-one and have like a one-on-one consultation, that's in the description box. Obviously, today's video is sponsored by Herb Roots and Company. You can get your herbal cider in the description down below. So, guys, today we're going to be talking about, I like the tier list of the last video, so we're going to be doing another tier list. And the tier list today are the worst things you could do at a farmer's market. So, you see that we have our tier list. It is stuff that you can get away with, bad habits you can get away with, bad habits I would not recommend, bad habits that you should just stop, bad habits you should quit immediately, like right now, and do not ever do bad habits. And we're just going to go off the top. So these are all my opinions. Different vendors could have different opinions about different things, but I'm the FM guru, so I know what I'm talking about. So guys, okay, we have all of our different bad habits down here. I would say we're going to go with the first bad habit, right, which is an empty booth. So before I place it, right, an empty booth, I used to have a bad habit of leaving my booth whenever I worked at 8 Hour Market. I used to work downtown in the city, but the thing with the city and these 8 Hour markets is that if it's a hot summer, 2 of those 8 hours is going to be nobody there or barely anybody walking around. So I would just have this thing, and I still have this thing. I think I'm just in my farmers market career having this thing of I'm just going to check out if I don't see nobody. I just check out so easily. So here's the thing, right? If you are someone who is antisocial and you're trying to do a farmer's market booth, I would be sure you hire someone or have someone help you who is social, who doesn't mind standing up and talking. Because I've had partners in the past who they will literally stand up the whole time and have unlimited energy just talking to people, and they just never get tired. So for that, leaving your booth, I'm not going to lie, I would stop it. If you cannot stop leaving your booth, then you should shrink to a 4-hour farmer's market. And that's what I did. 4-hour markets are way better depending on what you sell, but 4-hour markets are better as far as, you know, being engaged, people coming, you not having a lot of downtime. Boom. So I would stop leaving your market. The next thing is leaving early. So I'm not gonna be a hypocrite on this. If there's no people, there's no customers, I'm leaving my farmer's market booth early. But if I wouldn't recommend it, here's the thing, right? You gotta, I'm not gonna come off cocky and say you can only do this if you're a pro, but you should really only do this if you're seasoned, you know what you're doing. But at first, especially because it's against the rules, you just should not do it. I would not recommend leaving early. The only time I leave early is if I have something I need to do, like I need to go home and fulfill orders or go to the kitchen and fulfill orders, and I just don't see anybody there. That's the only time I leave early. So I just would not recommend it. Not saying hello and greeting customers. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Farmers markets and stores are completely different things. If someone is coming into a store, it's imperative that you greet them, because if they're in the store, they're more than likely going to buy something from your said store. But if you're at a farmer's market, just because you say hello, that doesn't mean people are going to buy something from you. So some people say hello just to be polite, but at the end of the day, we need to do something with purpose and with meaning. Just saying hello without backing it up with, would you like to try a sample? Or hello, this is what we have going on here, is pointless. So I wouldn't recommend. You can get away with just saying hello. It's not like a bad habit that I would not recommend, but you need to have some purpose with it. So you can just get away with simple greetings, right? But it is still a bad habit just saying hello and good morning for no reason, because it doesn't lead to anything. Reading a book, do not ever do that. Immediately off rip. Reading a book is one of the worst things you could do at your booth, because think about it. If you see someone reading a book and they're engaged like this, it feels like you're being impolite saying, hey, can I see what you have going on? Or hey, can I buy this? It feels like I'm disrupting you. I've seen a few people read their books at farmers markets, but those are more people who have antiques, things that you walk around with, people who treat their booth like a store. You really don't want to treat your booth like a store. You want to treat your booth like a farmers market booth. Those are two separate things. The next bad habit that I would quit immediately is having a bad payment center. So a bad payment system. So whether the processing be off, whether the Stripe not be ready to read, whether you're having bad connection's a big thing. I would stop that immediately, just because the people there's a compound of people that will build up behind the people that, let's say I'm talking to one person in front of me. There's a compound of people that will build up behind that person. And the compound of people that will build up will either A, wait, or B, just keep it pushing and keep moving because they don't have time to wait. So you don't want to cause friction within the payment process to keep the next person in line from, buying from you. So I would quit having bad payment processing, and I would immediately get a system to where if I would immediately get a system to where if I get the item that the person's gonna buy, then I swipe it immediately and it goes through immediately. The next thing we're gonna talk about is eating at your booth. I have seen vendors who eat at their booth and they do fine with sales. I have seen vendors who are just, me personally, I think it's ratchet to eat at your booth, like to have a full meal at your booth. So here's the thing. I personally would not recommend it, but you can get away with it. It depends on how, because it depends on how you're eating, obviously you have to have your food away. You really shouldn't even be eating at your booth if you have food next to your booth. So I'm gonna just say, me personally, I would stop it. I would never do it because I don't even eat when I'm at the farmer's market booth. Me personally, because a lot of people do it and they still make sales, I just would not recommend it. The next thing that is a bad habit that people do is no sampling. So this is gonna go against me because the more people sample, the more they don't want to sample other things. So if they're sampling over here, the more they're not going to want to sample over here. So obviously, if you have a chips and salsa business, you can only get so far. So here's the thing, right? Whenever someone samples something, they put it in their mouth and it's like oh my gosh, an emotional trigger. And that is what makes them want to buy it. And if you don't have that emotional trigger, you're just explaining it. If I'm just explaining why my salsa is good, that doesn't really, you can only explain it so far until it just goes dead. But that emotional fire, that emotional trigger, that really is what gets a lot of people to buy. That's why I like freeze-dried candy so much. I remember I was at this market, I tried some freeze-dried Skittles, boom, and I was hooked. But if someone just told me, oh yeah, these are freeze-dried Skittles, they taste good, I would have been less likely to buy it. So I would stop not sampling. That's what I would do, because some people can get away with it. Being on your phone, here's the thing, right? If you can be on your phone in segments, I just would not recommend it. But if you could be on your phone in segments and not be on your phone the whole time. So here's the thing, right? There are people at the farmer's market that one bad habit is attached to another bad habit. So being on your phone is attached to sitting down, is attached to not talking to customers. So because it's attached to all of that, I'm the only person who I'll maybe sometimes get on my phone and put it down when I see people come in, but I'm standing up the whole time. So in that situation, it's like, oh, I could get away with it. But if you're one of those people that all those are attached, I would just stop getting on your phone. I would stop getting on your phone. So the next thing I would say is talking to your vendor friends too much. Guys, stop talking to your vendor friends during the market. Like, you can talk to them before the market or after the market, but when people are coming, like, especially vendors going to different booths, just because your booth is slow, don't go to another person's booth, because their booth could be good and people could be looking at their products, but you're blocking their way and you're taking their attention away. So talking to your vendor friends, I would quit that immediately. Just talk before and after. It's crazy because some people think I'm a jerk, or when they first met me, they thought I was a jerk because I would come in with my headphones in, I would lock in, I'm there for one thing and one thing. I act very one-dimensional. Like, I'm coming here to sell at the farmer's market. I'm not doing anything else. If it's slow, I might do something else. Because with me, my momentum will stop if I start talking to people. So for me, I'm here for one thing and one thing only. That's just how I operate. And some people, when they first met me, like one of my good friends, when she first met me, she's my booth buddy. She thought I was a jerk. She even told me she thought I was a jerk. But I just have to lock in, and I don't care if people think I'm a jerk or not. But I would quit that immediately, like I said. The next thing I would be like, okay, chill with it, is talking to customers for too long. Okay, so here's the thing, right? This is gonna sound very jacked up, but if a customer bought something from me, then I am way more likely to let them talk, or I'm way more likely to talk to them, because if we're at a farmer's market and we have all these things going on, a customer buying from me means that they saw something in my product to invest into my product. So if they're willing, it's kind of like, if they're willing to invest in me, first of all, we invested in each other at first. We need to talk about mutual investment. I invested in them by offering them a sample. They invested their time in me by stopping and taking the sample. They went the extra mile to invest in me by buying the product, and then I went the extra mile for them by listening to them speak about their day, what they got going on. So it is completely okay to tell somebody thank you. There's ways to politely dismiss someone. Thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and look away. That's how you politely dismiss someone. If they're talking too long, it's okay to dismiss them. But if they bought something, it's okay for you to talk a little bit longer to them, tell them your story. But some people will use talking as their primary form of investment. We're here to sell. The primary form of investment should be them buying something from you. So we're gonna put talking too much to customers at, it's between stop it and quit immediately. But because you're a beginner, I'm gonna say quit immediately. But realistically, it's between stop it and quit immediately. It could be because I want these two to be even too. One of the absolute things, and this is not last but not least, an honorable mention of all of these is sitting down. I didn't get a chance to drag it, but sitting down is pretty bad at a farmer's market, just because, like I mentioned earlier, it's coupled with a lot of other things. Like sitting down is coupled with being on your phone, and if you're on your phone, you don't feel like talking to nobody. And here's the thing about sitting down: if I'm sitting down like this, it's kind of common sense of human psychology. If I'm in your face like this and talking to you and saying here's a sample, versus if I'm like this and I'm talking to you, who do you think is more serious, and who do you trust more? Do you trust this guy more, or do you trust this guy more? Now, obviously, you don't want to be this guy, but you do want to be a happy medium of this guy explaining everything, right? So I would say sitting down would be, I just would not recommend between stop it. One of the worst things you could ever do at a farmer's market next is be a booth bandit. I'm gonna explain to you what a booth bandit is. It causes some of the most fights at farmer's markets. Let's say my booth is right here and I'm asking people if they want a sample, and there's a guy with their booth right here. If a person is out right here, right? If they're in front of my booth, this guy, your sample's over. You can't ask them. It's the people in the 10 by 10 space. You have 10 feet to ask somebody if they want a sample. If they pass that 10-foot threshold and they go to another person's booth, you cannot ask that person unless they're looking back. Let's say they're right here. Okay, let's say this is 10 feet. The next booth is right here. If they're right here and they're looking back and you already asked them if they wanted a sample right here, that is doable. But do not, if they are all the way right here, do not ask them, hey, would y'all like to try a sample all the way over here? Another thing is too, one of the worst things someone did to me I said, our product has some sugar. And then the lady next to me said, hey, you want to try this? It doesn't have any sugar in it. That is the worst. That is the easiest way to get people to hate your guts. Do not be a booth bandit, y'all. If it's chill, it's a fun day, it's a farmer's market. Just have simple respect and etiquette. If they pass, you'll get the next person. That's the worst thing. That's all I got for this video. This video ended up being 16 minutes long. Yeah, I'm gonna see what I could do. Maybe I could speed it up, but yeah, if you have any questions, you already know what to do. If you're liking these tier list videos, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. But this has been your boy, the FM Guru. I'm signing out. Thank you guys.